Consumerism might be one of the most refined forms of control ever created. Not because it forces people into anything, but because it makes them believe they are choosing everything on their own. That's what makes it so effective. People don't feel controlled, they feel free. And that's exactly why it works. Because the most dangerous kind of control isn't the one you can't see, it's the one you don't even question. And as you know, the best slave is the one who believes he's free. Think about how this actually plays out in real life. Nobody's forcing you to buy anything. Nobody's standing over you telling you what to want or what to chase. But somehow, you still end up wanting more. A better phone, better clothes, better version of your life, and etc. and etc. Things you didn't even think about a few days ago suddenly feel important. And that's not accidental, that's conditioning. We live in a system where desire is constantly being created and fed. Advertising, social media, status, comparison with other people, all of it works together to shape what you think you want. And over time, you stop questioning it, you just follow it. And there is a simple idea that explains this perfectly, and it sounds like this. In consumerism, enough is always the next purchase. So, no matter what you have right now, it's never quite enough because there's always something better, newer, or more impressive just ahead of you. And so you keep going, you keep chasing. You work, you earn, you buy. For a moment, it kind of feels good. Yeah, there's excitement in the process, in the anticipation, in finally getting what you wanted. And that feeling is real, but it's also temporary. It fades quickly, and then your mind shifts to the next thing. And this is where it connects to something deeper. People often talk about gratitude, about learning to appreciate what you already have, and it sounds simple, almost obvious, but it becomes nearly impossible when your mind is constantly focused on what's missing. Because if you're always chasing the next thing, you never fully arrive anywhere, don't you? You don't pause long enough to actually value what's already in front of you. And here it comes to a recent thought of mine that the satisfaction you're looking for was never really in the thing itself. It was in the process of moving towards it. The anticipation, the effort, the idea of becoming closer to something you wanted. That's where the feeling comes from, in my opinion. Which means the moment you finally reach it, the process ends. And so does most of the feeling. And without realizing it, you start chasing again and again and again, not because you need more, but because you're trying to recreate that same feeling. That's the loop. And most people never step outside of it. What's interesting is that this cycle doesn't just take your money, it takes your time, your attention, your energy, and those are things you cannot get back. There is a line from the movie Fight Club that actually captures this perfectly. The things you own end up owning you. How true is that? Because at first you think you're in control. You work hard, you save money, you finally buy something you've been wanting. But once you have it, it comes with responsibility. You have to maintain it, protect it, worry about it, and slowly, without realizing it, your attention starts revolving around the thing you thought you owned. And in that moment, the relationship changes. You don't own it anymore. It owns you. This isn't just about objects either. It expands into how people present themselves, how they seek validation, and how they measure their worth. A lot of people are not trying to live a life they actually enjoy. They are trying to build a life that looks impressive from outside. People spend years working jobs they don't like just to afford things they don't really need, to impress people they don't even respect. And The strangest part is that they are pretty much aware of it on some level, but they still keep going because stepping out of that system feels uncomfortable. And that's where an even deeper idea comes in. A person is never completely free. The only real freedom that we have is the ability to choose what we become dependent on. I'm not sure if we can see this idea as truth, but think about it. You're always going to be attached to something, like money, comfort, validation, status, security. Something will always influence your decisions. The question is whether you choose that dependence consciously or if it was chosen for you. And most people actually don't choose it. They just drift into it. They adopt desires that were never truly theirs and then spend years chasing them, thinking they are building something meaningful. But when they finally get what they wanted, it often feels empty. And it's not because the thing itself is bad, but because the meaning behind it was never real. And that's why the cycle continues. You chase something, you get it, you feel a short moment of satisfaction, and then it disappears. And instead of questioning the system, you assume you just need more. More money, more success, more recognition. But more doesn't fix the problem, it just extends it. And maybe the real issue, the biggest problem, is that most people never ask a simple question: why? Why do I want this? Where does this feeling come from? Is this actually mine, or was it given to me by something outside of me? Because without that question, you are not really choosing anything. You're just reacting. You're following patterns you didn't create, chasing desires you didn't question, living out decisions that were never truly yours. And the moment you start asking why, everything changes. You begin to see the difference between what you truly want and what you were taught to want. You start noticing the root of your thoughts, your emotions, your impulses. And those root causes are the reason behind everything. And they become one of the most important parts of how you think. Because only then does your choice become real. Only then does it become conscious. And this doesn't just apply to money or material things. It applies to everything. Your habits, your goals, your relationships, your decisions. Without understanding the cause, you're always one step behind your own mind. And that's how the cycle keeps repeating. This pattern actually goes deeper into society than most people realize. It shapes how people behave, how they interact, and how they see themselves. It creates constant comparison. It pushes people to present a version of themselves that isn't fully real, just to fit into a certain image. And when everyone is doing that, it becomes normal. But normal doesn't mean healthy. Remember that. Normal doesn't mean healthy. And the more you rely on external things to feel fulfilled, the more control those things have over you. Whether it's material objects, social approval, or status, the mechanism is the same. You begin to depend on something outside of yourself to feel okay. And that's where the loss of freedom actually happens. Because when your state depends on something external, you are no longer in control. You are reacting, adjusting, and chasing. And most people stay in that state without even realizing it. Breaking out of it isn't easy, because the system is built on your desires. It doesn't restrict you, it seduces you. And desire is much harder to resist than force. But if there is a way out, it starts with awareness. Not rejecting everything, not isolating yourself, but simply seeing clearly, understanding what you actually need and what you've been conditioned to want. And from there, learning detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you stop enjoying things. It means you stop depending on them. And ironically, that's when you become closer to real freedom. Not the illusion of freedom that comes from endless choice and consumption, but the kind of freedom that comes from not being controlled by every desire that appears in your mind. And that's something most people never experience. Not because it's impossible, but because they never question the system they are living in. So try to always keep that in mind and look for the reasons.